Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back to the marketplace. Now, Chief Executive of Ghana Grid Company Limited, GridCo, William Amuna, has assured there is adequate power supply to the nation when the planned shutdown of the Jubilee FPSO takes effect. Now, partners of the Jubilee field have declared their intention to shut down the floating processing, storage and offloading, also known as the FPSO facility, on the Jubilee field to allow for maintenance. Now, this development, many say, might lead to shortfalls in the supply of gas to the company. However, in an interview with Joy Business, CEO of GridCo, William Amuna, said there is enough power to augment the shortfall.
We have more than enough supply. AXA has come in with additional power. Asogli is running, and we really have more than enough. And
AXA from where, please?
AXA is a Turkish company in Tema. Okay. So we may not need that.
How many megawatts of power are they bringing in?
Presently, they give us 170 megawatt. And Asogli has come in over 200 megawatt more. So we are more than covered, even if it goes down.
So are you ensuring us that when Sankofa goes?
Definitely. We don't even import power from Cote d'Ivoire anymore. We don't. We have more than enough power. We don't run all the generators. And the lake level is also rising very well, so we are okay.
You mean the Akosombo Dam is rising?
Akosombo Dam is rising, yeah.
What about Bui?
Bui is also rising.
Okay, so
yeah.
Are we able to export power to our neighbors?
We can export power to them.
We can, but we are not doing.
We reduce the export to them because they don't need it too much now.
Okay, with the partnership for growth, what is there in it for GridCo?
Well, for GridCo, we want to develop our network, and one of the goals is on the transmission and distribution, and we think it is something that would help us in our studies, the various studies that we are conducting, and then the expansion of the grid system. So that's what we're working on.
So, if I may ask, how much are they bringing in for the supply side?
For now, there has been a study by USTDA on the expansion in the western part of the country, but we are yet to get to the development stage, so we'll be working on that soon.
He was speaking with Joy Business at the sidelines of the ongoing joint technical meeting on the review of the Ghana-US Partnership for Growth. Now, on his part, the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Robert Jackson, says the situation with the energy sector so far has been the issue of high tariffs. He is therefore urging the utility companies to work in reducing the tariffs. He is optimistic that Ghana will meet the 2018 deadline for the implementation of the Millennium Challenge Compact 2 from the United States government.
4 years into the Partnership for Growth, we've made tremendous progress in the energy sector where we've seen reliable power become a reality in Ghana. Now we need to focus on affordability, getting the price down, and making certain that the energy sector is operating at the highest possible efficiency. And I'm confident that we're going to get there and that we're going to make significant progress in that direction over the next 15 months. Second, we've made some progress on access to credit and on helping Ghanaian companies to be able to export to the United States. To me, those need to be the remaining focus during the partnership, to see how we can create more development that's driven by growth in trade and investment in both directions, and to see how we can continue to help particularly small and medium-sized enterprises to have access to the credit that they need to grow.
You made mention that the deadline for the NCC Compact is coming soon, and you urged both parties to work together. Are you satisfied so far with the way things are going?
So today, Government of Ghana officials are meeting to review the tariff methodology. As soon as they finalize that tariff methodology and share it with the 5 bidders on the concession, we can move ahead to a second bidders conference. So I'm satisfied, but as I said, we're on a tight timeline. The concessionaire must be in place with financial close having been achieved by September 6th of next year. That's not a lot of time for the companies to analyze the tariffs, make their own calculations, and then offer their final bids.
How much are we expecting from the U.S. government into the Partnership for Growth for this year?
So our annual assistance, including the Millennium Challenge Compact, is around $250 million per year. About $100 million of that is from the MCC Compact. The other $150 million comes for health, education, agriculture, and a small governance program. But the part of our assistance program that's focused on economic growth is heavily focused on agriculture and poultry. That's about $38 million this year.
And away from energy, the largest cement manufacturing company in the country, GASM, has ruled out any price increase in its products as a result of the implementation of the VAT flat rate scheme. The 3% tax came into force last Saturday, and government has emphasized it will affect wholesalers and retailers of goods, including importers. Some manufacturing companies, including those in the food and beverage subsector, have, however, warned of price increases and even some layoffs in the implementation. But speaking with Joy Business at the sidelines of the launch of the 50th anniversary of GASM, Managing Director Morton Gard said the tax won't have any significant effect on prices of its products.
The effect of that is, we don't expect too much effect of that. Let me first say that, the way it operates, because it's limited to, the distributor retail level. And therefore, we don't see the major impact on neither our profit and loss account or that of our major customers.
Okay, so do I understand that you are not going to pass it on to the consumers?
We need to evaluate how the process is working, but we have no plans immediately to pass on the 3% to the customers.
Now, on the issue of unfair trade practices by some cement importers, Morton Gard was confident the newly inaugurated Ghana International Trade Commission will address concerns of local manufacturers.
The present government has only been in office for the last 4 or 5 months, and I think it always takes a little bit of time before they hit the ground running. What is important, and the Honourable Minister mentioned that a couple of times this evening, that the GITC committee is being inaugurated, so we can ensure that we have fair trade practices in Ghana. That is not only for the cement industry, that goes for all manufacturing sectors. So by doing that, the government will help to ensure that we have sanity in the system, and that the factories, which are very important for employment in this country, can continue to produce and have a market to produce and are not being undercut by dumping.
So on the marketplace, let's now cross over to the Ashanti region, where thousands of Ghana cedis are said to be lost to swine fever disease in parts of the region. Over 5,000 pigs were lost to the disease last year alone, and as of June this year, close to 300 have died. Pig farmers as well as sellers of pork are worried both their businesses and their livelihoods are being affected. Let's now join our correspondent Prince Appiah in the Ashanti region to give us some updates. Good afternoon, Prince, and welcome.
Thank you, Ima.
All right. Now, how dire is the situation now?
Yeah, Ima, it is very, very, very serious. Because as I speak to you now, more farms are being affected by the swine fever, and veterinary officials are currently holding educational talks with farmers in the association, that's the Pig Farmers Association, to educate them on the need to observe proper biosecurity exercises to avoid the spread of this disease to other parts of their farms and other farms nearby.
Now, so what has the Ministry of Agri in that region been doing to contain the situation as of now?
Yeah, as of now, what they are doing is that they are collaborating with the veterinary office in the Ashanti region, and they are putting together the pig farmers, and they are educating them on the need to put in proper ways of preventing people from coming into their farms without going through the proper biosecurity measures. Now, they are asking them to disinfect their farms when they see any traces of the disease in your farms, you disinfect your farms. If you don't have any traces, you still have to disinfect your farm. And another thing they are doing is that they are depopulating all the farms that are being affected. So if you have one issue in your farm, then they come and then they depopulate it. And by depopulating, they are killing all the farms in their farm, all the pigs in their farm, and bury them. And for some period before they will allow the farmer to come in with, let's say, 2 or 3 pigs and try them and see if the animals they buried are dead, and see if the cow in which they were rearing the pigs are not having the diseases, so that it can prevent it.
All right, now, lastly, before you go, I could recall that you did a story recently on the pork business and how some residents of Kumasi are seriously partaking in that business. Now, with this particular situation that we have, how is it affecting the pork business in Kumasi?
Yeah, I must say that it has the tendency of affecting the pork business. But as of now, we've not seen the intensity yet. But some pork sellers I've spoken to are telling me that they fear it might affect their business because it is a booming business now in Ashanti. Everybody is going into it. So if this disease is affecting most of them, lots of farmers are losing their pets, but it is going to bring down the business and going to affect their livelihood.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Pensapia, bringing us up to speed with the situation in the Ashanti region where swine fever disease has hit some pig farms. Now, moving on, it's been an amazing 5 months for Mame Ifuatando, who quit her corporate job after 9 years to pursue her love and for anything fashion and African print. The founder and creative lead at Love Ankara is gradually carving a niche as she goes to the person for fashion accessories, including her flagship ballerina shoes. So what's her story coming up on the business van tonight? But let's have a teaser.
Mame Ifuatando is at one of Ghana's biggest markets, Makula, doing what she loves best, looking for interesting African prints. She's here to pick up fabric for her products.
So I've worked in corporate Ghana for almost 9 years. My career has been interesting. It has taken me from international development to business development to marketing and sales and IT. And in the last few years, I found myself working in one of the biggest textile brands in the world, or in Africa and in the world. And whilst there, I got really excited because fashion has always been a big part of who I am. I've always loved print. I've always wanted to do something in fashion.
Mame Ifuatando decided to quit and set up Love Ankara. Ankara, a Yoruba word for African print.
Catch the full story tonight on Business Live. And let's now pause for an investment tip.
Investment Tips is brought to you by Daffing Finance, Deposits, Investments, Borrowings and Advisory.
Investment objective, the returns question. What are the returns expectations? That is, how much income are you expecting? Is it reasonable? What percentage of rates are on offer? How does it compare with the current rate of inflation? How does it compare to the risk-free rates? How do the returns compare to other products of similar tenure?
Investment Tips was brought to you by Daffing Finance, Deposits, Investments, Borrowings and Advisory.
You're welcome. Now, last week, the USAID released findings of a study on Ghana's ports, which highlighted high port charges and inefficient border clearance procedures as a major impediment to trade. Undoubtedly, the costly and lengthy procedures at the country's ports result in high cost of doing business in Ghana. Let's first watch a report on the study carried by the USAID on behalf of the National Trade and Facilitation Committee.
The study was carried out by USAID on behalf of the National Trade and Facilitation Committee. It is geared towards improving the country's compliance with the World Trade Organization's Trade Facilitation Agreement, which came into effect this February. The study, among others, revealed high port charges as unduly impeding trade with other countries after assessing border management services related to imports, exports and transit goods. It also revealed the lack of transparency and uncertainty associated with costs of services. It has therefore been recommended for all processes at all entry ports to be standardized. Also highlighted in the recommendations is the need for joint inspections by the relevant ministries, departments and agencies, and the need to avoid duplication of roles. The study, however, noted reducing port charges does not necessarily result in lost revenue, and that only what it describes as nuisance fees and charges would have to be done away with. Also is the need for port charges to be commensurate with the services to attract, facilitate and boost trade. The report ultimately urged Ghana to implement the recommendations if the country's agenda to become the trade gateway of Africa is to be realized by improving its global trade competitiveness.
Now, the Borderless Alliance, a key stakeholder in international trade, has been working to have a West Africa where goods move across the region quickly, efficiently and cheaply. The alliance believes more efficient transport means more trade, and this in turn means stronger economic growth, higher profits for companies, greater income for national government and increased investments into the country. We are now live from Tema by the national president of the Borderless Alliance in Ghana, Ziad Amoui, to help us discuss some of these bottlenecks to improve trade within the sub-region. And he's going to be speaking with Rhoda Ajay. Hello, Rhoda. Good afternoon, if you can hear me.
Good afternoon, Abuaji.
All right, so what has Mr. Amoui been telling you?
Okay, so we're here at the office of the National President of the Borderless
Alliance, and Mr. Amoui is here with me. Basically, they're calling for two reforms based on the findings of the research. And the first is elimination of the human factor, or perhaps reduce it to the barest minimum. And then secondly, a reduction of the agencies and avoidance of duplication of roles. So he's here with me, if I may.
All right, so
Good
go
afternoon.
ahead.
Good afternoon.
Okay, so let's look at the findings of the USAID-funded report. What does the Borderless Alliance make of the findings?
One of the major findings from that report is that the process is too bureaucratic, and there are so many agencies which are involved, which leads, first of all, to lengthier procedures, and second, to unnecessarily costs to some of the services that are provided to some of these agencies. And this all adds up to making the cost of doing business through our ports more expensive. And eventually this cost is passed on to the final consumer, which pays the final bill. Because all of the costs for doing business and for the importation and for trade across Ghana eventually get passed on to the final consumer. And that is our interest here as Borderless Alliance. To, first of all, to promote a more enabling business environment for the private enterprises, and second, to reduce the cost of doing business to both the businesses and to the consumers, while at the same time making sure that the revenues which the authorities are looking for are achieved. So we believe that there could be a way to streamline the procedures by reducing the number of agencies. And you recall a few months ago when The Vice President of Ghana, His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has made 3 announcements of reforms as of 1st September. The first, going completely paperless. The second, conducting joint inspections for consignments through the ports. And third, the elimination of customs checkpoints along the roads. And we believe that is a good step forward. And getting back to the report, trying to reduce the human factor will definitely eliminate some of the illicit monies changing hands, or at least trying to reduce the incongruencies which are associated with the presence of the human factor. Because sometimes, you know, we are human beings.
Okay, so now let's look at our procedure at our ports. You tell me we run a landlord ports model. Run us through the ideal process.
I'll try to be a bit simple with the procedures, but usually the process starts with long before the cargo even leaves its country of origin when you are involved in importation. We're not going to talk about export or transit. So you have an invoice that is generated overseas. You have an import declaration form that is prepared to the Ministry of Trade and Industries. And then these goods are most of the time, when it's international goods, they come on board a vessel that is bound to the ports of Tema or Takoradi. So depending on how fast you are with the procedure, you start with the clearing procedure by getting to customs with your import declaration form, with your invoice. Right. And then you start going through, first of all, the valuation as soon as the vessel comes.
Sincere apologies in that breaking transmission. But before then, correspondent Rhoda Eji was speaking with the national president of the Borderless Alliance in Ghana, Ziad Amui, live from Tema. And on that note, we wrap up this afternoon's edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Apuachi. Good afternoon.